Hey, so there, sir. Hey, how you doing? My name's Matthew. I'm into healing to people on the streets, and you just get healed of whatever you got. I did notice the stick there. I noticed the moon boot. That's what they call it. I know you're not a spaceman, and I'm sure you'd rather be with it. Okay, so if you don't mind, just like to just heal that, just get it fixed for you right now. I don't charge any money or any such thing. But yeah, the foot, the boot, the ankle, or the foot joint, or if there's a break, you can be healed right now in seconds. And then you can take the strap off, put your other sandal on, and you'll be good. I'll promise you.
No.
You sure? Nothing to lose. Just stand and relax for a few seconds. It'll be gone for you. All right. Look after yourself, brother. It's good. Hello. Testing. Okay. There's some people who were here before. Praise God. That's good. Haha. Awesome. Right, let's see about healing some people first. And I'll start. Hey, sir. How you doing? My name's Matthew. I do public speaking and other stuff. One of the things I do is I heal people of any kind of sickness or disease or anything. I noticed a cane there, which means that I know you're using it to support, to help yourself with getting about, which is okay. Well, you could be healed right now. No strings attached. Don't need to pay me anything. Any problem, any pain, any defect will be gone. Are you sure? That's the usual response. They say, I'm fine, but
I am fine.
you could be better.
I'm retired.
Are you sure?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, well, God bless you. Nice to meet you anyway. Okay. All right, let's get stuck in. Praise God for the gospel. Hallelujah. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 testing. Testing. Okay, how you doing, everyone? Not sure if you remember me from last time. I was here, last week or the week before, something like that. And I was sharing a message with you wonderful people in the lovely weather. And for those that were here before, maybe you might remember, there was a guy who was had a crutch, he had a cane, he had some issues in his body. He actually was beaten up and mugged in this area. And I laid hands on him and he was healed of all of that, everything. He was bending down, moving around, he could do everything freely he couldn't do before. So I just want to put that out there too. If you've got any pain or any issues in your body, just do what I do and you'll be healed of it, just like that. Pardon? That's nice. That's a nice one. That's good. Yeah, spunky. It's fun. That's fun. Or if you want to talk or have a conversation about things, then that's fine. You could have a talk, we could have a conversation. I've got another mic with me. You could have the mic, have the floor. It's cool, good. And we can talk a bit. Now, what I wanted to share about is just a few things. The obvious is that there's different beliefs here, there's different values, there's different faiths, there's many different things because we're all unique people. And that's a wonderful thing. That's how we are created to be. That's our design. We're all unique. We're all wonderful, unique expressions. We do the best we can be to be the best version of ourselves. That's like the ultimate kind of self-help thing. That's why people go for life coaches and things like that, because they want to be better. They want to improve in some way. They want to be more than they used to be. You hope that the next day you'll be better than you were the day before. And that's kind of, we're all aiming that way. And we're all desiring to be better. And why? There's a reason why. Because we know that we've got positive changes to make, and we know we've not really arrived yet. We're all in process. We're all in journey. We're all in this journey together. Fortunately, there's a lot of divides that separate us on this journey that we call life. But it wasn't always that way. In fact, how we were designed is we naturally seek to be social. We naturally understand that family is a healthy balance, and that it's the right environment for life to be produced. We know that. Even despite certain things going on in the culture that may try to go against that, we know that the family unit is the right environment to raise a child, is the right environment to promote healthy family values, is the right environment for morality to develop as it's supposed to, and things like that. But we don't see that broadly across the society. And that's because of the divides. And the initial divide that happened, that caused all other divides, came from our divide with God. Now, that may bring up some objections initially. Some may say, I don't believe in God. Or, don't give me that religious stuff, or all that nonsense. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. That's okay. I'm not judging you for that. That's okay. Even though we can judge, we all judge. And that's fine too. We have the power to judge. In fact, that's a divine quality. We can judge. We can decide. We can say this is right, this is wrong. And we judge all the time. Society may say, I don't judge, but we do it. Because we designed to. We really do deep down know what is right from wrong. That's why we judge. Okay? But like I'm saying, not speaking against you for saying, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in all that. But we can look around and we can clearly see that the evidence presented before us, obviously we know that things that are made, buses, and buildings, and lampposts, and cars, and even down to our children, they don't come just all together by some random chance. We know that. Things that are designed have a designer. Things that are built have a builder. Yeah, it just makes sense, right? We know that. I know certain scientists or some people will try to say that in the beginning there was nothing, and then nothing magically decided to do something, and then out of nothing we have everything else. And it takes a lot of faith to believe that. It takes more faith to believe in Big Bang and evolution and all that stuff than it is to believe that we can see design, we can see order, we can see an ecosystem that works together as it's meant to. We can see how we're built in a certain way to be balanced. Our mind works as it should, hopefully. Body works as it should. If nothing goes wrong, hopefully. We can see those things. We can see design. We can see, if you do any studies in science, and you'll say, they say that a simple cell came out of the goo, or whatever it was. And you look at a single cell, and it's not a simple thing at all. In fact, it's very complicated. There's how many different parts to it? There's a cytoplasm, there's a cell wall, there's a cell membrane, there's a nucleus which contains DNA, there's a cytoplasm, there's a mitochondrion, there's the ribosomes, there's nucleotides. I could list on one cell, one single cell. And all of those different pieces work together in harmony. Now, accident or design? Accident or design? You see, some would try to tell you all of that balance came for an accident. Hey, I remember you from last time. You were here last time, I remember. Yeah, I remember. I gave you some money as well, and I told you that Jesus loves you and everything, and I remember that. I remember that. Maybe you forget, but it's okay. Don't worry about that. But anyway, as I was saying, design or accident. And we can see, from the single most simple thing, we see design. That's what we see. We see design. We can't ignore it. Our eyes work. They take in light. It balances the image in our brain so that we can see the world around us. Accident or design? Design. What is light itself? Light is a particle and a wave of energy. And we can take it in and we can see everything. Okay? It's very complex design involved in everything that we see. And we take for granted because well, we just have our own agenda and we live life and we move on and we do what we do, and that's okay. But still, the evidence is all around us. There is design, and we can't escape it. We can't ignore it. So that's the next question, and is designed by who? Designed by what? And designed why? Okay? The why question. That's often the biggest one of all, the why question. Why are we here? Why are we made? What's the meaning of life? We all at some point ask those questions, right? It's normal. It's kind of human nature, because we are searching and we're seeking. Because we're in this journey called life and we can't get out of it. We didn't choose to come here, but we're here. So we might as well make the most of it. And we might as well try to find out what is the right way. And what are we here for? What's the purpose of why we're here? We're all in this together. So let's answer a few of those questions. How about the who? Who created everything? Who? Well, obviously, whoever designed planets and worlds. If you want to come speak on the mic, you can, but we'll do it in a nice, constructive, polite way, if that's all right with you. Okay? But feel free. If you want to say I've got something to say, then say, you know what, I've got something to say. It's cool. It's cool. We'll just be civilized. It's okay. But anyway, as I was talking about, the who. Obviously, whoever designed everything had to have some kind of intelligence that is boggling beyond whatever we can think of. Had to be someone who is the genius of all geniuses. I mean, how do you balance the weight of a single grain of sand, and also balance how planets orbit around whole solar systems, and all of those things are kept in a certain order so that the sun comes up the same time and it goes back down? And again, there's systems and cycles and mathematics and patterns that we see in everything. Our body has a pattern which is matched to the sun, called a circadian rhythm. Determines how much good quality of sleep we get. There's patterns and systems in everything. Even down to the proportions of how your hand is to your fingers is to your hand, and your hand to your forearm. Okay, there's all of these patterns and order and dimensions. Whoever designed that had to be someone pretty amazingly intelligent, I would say. And the same pattern that you find in your body, even down to your DNA, is the same pattern that we find in this leaf, for example. Okay, the same pattern we find in this leaf. It's the same pattern which tells which stems to grow in what order, and the shapes. It's the same pattern. Not sure if you've heard of it. It's called the golden mean. It's actually programmed into everything that exists. Everything that exists. Now, whoever designed that and put that program into nature and into down to atoms and everything in the universe to us, had to be someone pretty awesomely intelligent. I mean, it just makes sense, right? So that's the idea of omnipotence, or omniscience comes in. Omniscience means all-knowing. They have to know everything to make everything else, right? Unless you know everything, you can't make everything else that is around you. You have to know what to make before you make it. So God, who obviously would have made everything, has to know everything to make in the first place. It's just reason, right? It's just reason. So, all-knowing. How about all-seeing? God would obviously have to be able to see everything. If you're trying to make something and you don't see all of the parts, then how do you know how they fit together unless you see all of the parts? Okay, you have to know, like, who's good at making stuff? Who's good at DIY? I'm pretty good at DIY. Awesome. Yeah, that's good. Get a feeling of DIY, that's good. I turned a Cura bed, 2 IKEA Cura beds, into a triple bunk bed for my 3 boys with no instructions. That's pretty good. Pretty good at DIY. And I moved to my other house and converted it from a 3-tier into a L-shaped 2-tier, and they're having lots of fun with that stuff. But obviously, you have to be able to see the parts and know how they can fit together in order to do it.
Brother, do me a favour.
What's up, brother?
Yeah, we don't want to listen to it.
Oh well, if you don't listen, then there's plenty of space. But there's some people that do.
And there's a whole fucking thing. Every single one of them
Yeah.
don't want to listen.
Well,
Steve,
not
let me
necessarily
tell
the
you
case, brother.
Let me tell you something, yeah?
It's all right, babe.
No, listen,
Hey,
listen to me.
can I help you out with something,
My
though?
kids are listening to him.
'Cause
my
guess
family
what?
are listening to him.
Believe it or not, God loves you, and has no problem with you.
It's all right, mate.
I'm just being real.
We're like it.
I'm just being real.
We're like facts, mate. We're like it. You talk to
Oh,
us.
thank you. I appreciate it. You're so wonderful. All of you are so wonderful.
He might be doing your fucking head. He's
Right.
not doing anybody else's.
Please don't do it in front of me.
Oh, don't go.
Well,
Public.
hey, this is a big place. It's a big place. Oh, thank you. What's your name, sis? Marion. Lovely to meet you, Marion. Lovely to meet you all. Okay, that's right. Yeah, it's a free country, isn't it? It's a free country. Yeah. Well, we can help with that, hopefully, a bit. So, yeah, like I was saying, about all seeing, right? Thank you. About all seeing. You have to see the parts in order to know how they fit together. So, obviously, we look at the world, we look at the universe, and there's lots of parts. Okay? Your body has, what? If you count the organs and bones, 613 parts. Okay? You have many different parts of your skin, 3 layers, cells, all of those parts. There's so many different parts that make up stuff. You know, we look at anything, a tree has so many parts. The branches and the leaves and the trunk and the stem system, the bulb and the roots, and it's so many parts. You'd have to see these parts to know how they work, right? Even scientists, they're trying to make a seed. They're trying to say, how can we make a seed that would work from scratch? And they try to copycat the things which are designed. They can't do it. They can't figure it out. It's really funny. They try to play God. It's hilarious to me. It's so funny. Because they don't know how the parts fit together. But they're trying to look at something and they're trying to copy it, but they don't have the original design. It's funny. So like I was saying, whoever created everything has to be able to see everything to know how the parts fit together. So that's the all-seeing bit covered. Now, I've done a lot of studies into stuff, including science, right? Lots of studies into science. And there's this thing, I'm not sure if you heard, called quantum physics, okay? And it's the study of the things that you can't see. Because if we were to, say, look at your hand, right? And we're to look at it in a microscope, we'll see the different parts, and we're to keep zooming and zooming and zooming and zooming, it will disappear. You won't see your hand anymore. That's because when you go down to everything, at its smallest level is actually made of energy. Okay, so again, someone very powerful has to be able to direct how the energy connects together to make everything else that we do see. And it says that in the Bible. It says that the things that are seen are not made by things that are appearing, that are apparent. So the physical things aren't made by physical things. It's like if you make a book, the book isn't made of a book. The book is made of other things that make the book. It has a cover, it has pages, it has ink, it has a ring binder maybe if it's that type of book. It has threading, it has other things that make it up. But you just see the book. Oh yeah, this is a good book. Yeah, it's a nice book, all the good stuff in it. But all of the different parts that you don't see went into making a book. It's a bit like that. In the Bible it talks about how things that we see aren't made by the things that we see. It makes sense, right? It makes sense when you look at it with certain examples. So, God, all-knowing, all-seeing, obviously all-powerful. Okay? So, humour me here that there is God, and that He made all of this stuff that we take for granted. He made all of the laws that allow these things to happen, that take for granted. Gravity, I'm so glad God made gravity, because otherwise I would need a spacesuit. I would be like in that crazy movie, Interstellar. I'll be in some black hole somewhere, and I'll be having a very bad day. So I'm very glad God made gravity, so we're not all flying off into space. I'm pretty glad about that. So those laws are really useful, like keeping our feet on the ground, so that we can get from A to B and not have to float everywhere. Say gravity, very useful. But if we violate those laws like gravity, then again, we can have a pretty bad situation. If we say, okay, yeah, I'm going to jump off a building, and I'm going to pretend there's no gravity in, woohoo, splat, you'll have a bad situation. That's kind of what will tend to happen in most cases, unless you are really Superman, okay? But since we're not Superman, we're not going to start defying gravity. So these laws are operating automatically. They just work and work and work. Laws of entropy, laws of thermodynamics. They work and they work and they work. Because it's part of the system. It's part of the system. So God made the system to work for who? To work for us. We're the ones that are here. We're the ones at the top of the food chain, right? We're the ones building all the new technology and thinking of exploring the planets and trying to cure world hunger and all of that wonderful stuff, right? All of these systems are here to create an environment for us to thrive, okay? But there are certain laws, there are certain mechanisms as part of the system, which, just like with gravity, if we try to violate it and go against it, we will have a pretty bad day. You have a pretty bad day. You may end up being a human pancake, okay? And nobody wants to be a human pancake. I personally do not want to be a human pancake, because no one will help straighten me and flip me the right way around, okay? So let's not mess with gravity. If you're having a bad time and I hope to God that you never have, suicidal tendencies. Don't mess with gravity. It will hurt you if you go against it, all right? So these laws, there's these laws built into the system. So humor me there. Now there's this law which the Bible also talks about called the law of sin and death, right? And it says, the soul that sins shall die. Now you may think, oh my goodness, God, how could you be so mean to allow death and say that's God's fault? Actually, the system was made for us. God created everything and says, here, and He made the system so that you could thrive and survive. It's like how if you want to move fish or if you want to have fish in your house, you have to create a system so the fish can survive, right? You have to have a fish tank.